Hello everyone. So I guess this is working. Sure. Okay, let me try to sign in into my own chat. For some strange reason I cannot type anything here. So hi. Yep. Um, I don't know why, but I cannot get to type anything on my own chat. All messages you will send will appear. Sign in to chat and then I'm signed in. So why don't I see my own stuff? This is really bothersome. I'm sorry to do this live, but I have no choice. I need to set this up, and I apologize in advance because of the cars out there making noise. I really don't know how to put this into the. Why does it say I need to sign into chat? I am already participating on this. Come on, come on. What about live chat? Nope, it won't allow me. I want to type something, but it will not let me type anything. So, how in the world does this works? It used to be easier in the in the previous version actually. Let me see. So, if you're watching this live already, thank you very much for joining. I'll try to rig this character which I have right here in the thumbnail in as short time as I can. But first I need to put this chat inside the oh gosh, how do I do this? I need to put this chat right here. What about edit? Nope. Refreshing the chat. No, I can't. Sign in to chat. All messages. Oh, come on. This action cannot be performed inside Streamlabs OBS. To interact with chat, you can open this chat in a web browser. Oh my. So I have to take it that there is no way to port this window any other place than here. Oh, come on, people. Alright, so let me just overlay this over here. Hi everyone. Yeah, I guess this is the only way. This is not optimized. Alright, so let's get into it. I want to stream and do this pretty quickly. If you have any questions, please type them in. I will be reading them in my second monitor, so let's get into it. You have this character which could be your own. Right now this one is created so that you can see it as a toon shader, but I'm going to turn off many of the modifiers so we can rig this as quickly as we can, and for that we have to apply some of the things that we already have here. So I'm going to get rid of the solidify as well as the subdivision. Hello, hello. Is there audio? If anyone can listen to me, please let me know. I apologize because this OBS thing is not working as I expected. I need to research further. So thank you, Social Mix, Amit Rana, and Letouis Dunet. Okay. Um, let's start. This is the character. I'm going to press 1 into front view. Let me see if I have the key thing. Oh no, I don't have it in this version. Oh well, oh well. Anyways, let's start. Edit preferences. You should go to add-ons and make sure you have the Rigify add-on active, which is right here. Rigify, rigging. Okay, you activate that and you have different things that we are going to configure. So let me just create this window. Right click over this thing, Then you join areas. I'm going to join from left to right. I have this. Let me switch on my overlays. This is called the overlay menus. You can see here viewport overlays, and from here on we can open this other one, which is called the viewport shading, and I'm going to switch this into a random, or no, let's just leave it at that. Finally, let me join this one, and then let me join this one. Okay, so the subdivision, we don't need it right now, and the solidify, I don't know what that was for. We don't need it at this moment. And okay, so as you can see, there is the mirror modifier still active, so that's why we see this line here. So I'm going to merge the limit between them both. I'm going to increase it so they can both be merged, and then I'm going to apply it. Of course, let me save this version with another with an increased number. See that? I don't know why this is going so slow. So let me see version number 4 with the Rigify thing. So okay, my limit is there. I'm going to apply it. There's this nifty little trick that I learned way back on 279, which I'm going to share with you, that in case you have many different operators here, or many different John's Creative, thank you for joining, this trick, which is if you don't want to come here and press apply, and let's say that you have a pile of mirror and other deformers here, you can come here into object, convert to, and then you convert this mesh that you have selected to mesh curve. You select this one, and then it will automatically apply. So even if you have 12, 13, 14 modifiers here, and then you go object, convert to mesh, it will apply everything at once, and that's very handful for you don't have to come here every time. You can do this even with the shortcut. If you come here, convert to mesh, right click, I'm going to assign my own shortcut right now, which in Blender 279 was, let me see how it was, I think it was Alt C, I don't recall. I'm not gonna do that right now, but you can right click, assign shortcut, just press there, press the key combination, and it will save it. Let's do the same. Oh, the head is already done. So what's going on with the head is that we have different vertex groups as well as shape keys. So we're going to rig, even though this already has shape keys applied, although I don't recommend doing that. I have different facial keys that can do different things, so like blinking and stuff like that. So all of these are the shape keys for the facial expressions. Press 1, you're in front view. Shift A, I'm going to armature, basic, I'm sorry, human, armature, human. That's going to create the meta rig. And if you get this, that's because the cursor, the 3D cursor, was not placed in the right place. So I'm going to activate it, and you can see that the 3D cursor is all the way up there. So let's just undo, Control Z. Let's go into the outliner because we need the outliner as well. Shift F9 will bring our outliner, and now I'm going to reposition that into the center of the world by pressing Shift S, which is for snapping. That's the shortcut for snapping. I'm going to snap the cursor to the world origin, and from there on I can create my armature. Finally, I'm going to hide again my 3D cursor. I don't like to have it in screen. Shift A, armature, human, and now it's created, but I cannot see it, so it's difficult. Number 1 on the numpad, and then I'm going to go into the properties of this object's context. Please get it together, because every time you have a new object in Blender, it's going to be surrounded by the context, which means basically it's going to tell Blender this has different properties depending on the category of what the element is. That is, if it's a shader, it's going to have properties this way. If it's a light, it's going to have properties this way. If it's an armature, it's going to have properties in this way. And that is why you will always see that this late 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, fifth icons are always going to change depending on the context. Okay, that's something no one tells you about Blender. Probably not many people get it together, but we're talking about that just so you can understand it. So properties of the bone. In this case, I'm going to go into the viewport display, and then I'm going to click in front. That way I can see my armature. But my armature is not the same size of my character, and that is to be expected. And we also have a face, which we will have to adapt to this. And after that, we are going to parent it, and immediately after parenting, we're going to correct the weights, which is, for some strange reason, some of the hardest part for many people that does 3D animation. But it doesn't have to be if you know the techniques, and I'm going to show them to you. I don't want to talk too much, I just want to get through, and whenever you have a question, please ask directly here in the chat so I can answer them by audio. You get that. You get that, right? Perfect. So I'm going to enter with tab, edit mode, and now I'm able to edit this rig. And one of the things that I like to do is to delete this middle part of the rig, because I'm going to focus only on working on the left side first. I always work with the left side because, I don't know, it's just personal preference, I guess. But I'm going to select all of these bones, and then I'm going to delete them. So press X and then select bones. So that will delete the bones. Whoops, I took away this one. Okay, X, bones. Right now I only have the first half of the body, which is good because placing them in the correct order will help me later on to align them automatically into the other side. And to do that, we need to activate this X option later on when these both sides are created. And let's start aligning this thing. What I'm going to use here, for example, if I grab this, I'm going to press G, X, that is going to move my knee in place. I'm pressing Control and right mouse click to create a lasso selection. I always use a lasso selection because it's the quickest. Whenever you release, it's immediately selected. GX, let's align this over here. Alright, that's looking good. Let's grab this one and put it somewhere here because she's got long legs. This one, I think we need to correct it, definitely. So let me take all of this and then press G, Y, so we could go, no, G, Z, yeah. Now it will restrain the axis to go in one direction, upwards. GX. I apologize, I did not have my key capture installed. I should have, but like I said before, GX, GZ, I'm sorry, I haven't researched the OBS latest installment, so that's why this is where we want to get the shoulder, okay, direction, and this is for the chest basically. So we're going to place this over here. Many people delete this bone. I will not recommend you to do that, even if it's a male model, because what this bone does is to distribute the weights between the armpits and the cage rib, and it's very useful for that. And because this bone exists, this arm will not pull your ribs, or this shoulder will not pull your spine weight assigns. So this bone is very important, even if you're working with the male model. Let's take this. Let's take this. I'm going to press R, and whenever I press R, I'm immediately jumping into rotate mode, even though I already have it right here. But I'm going to press R just to show you that the middle selection that I have right here is dictated by this button right here. If you see this icon, it says that it's the medium point. So all of these average, the medium point is this. That's why whenever I press R, my gizmo disappears, but then my rotation immediate mode, that's how I call it, enters into action, and then I can rotate in 2D view always. So if I have a 3/4 view like this, and then I press R, it's going to rotate around this view. It's not going to rotate backwards or forwards. It's going only to rotate from left and right. So make sure how you position your viewport to get it right. So let's continue. I'm going to place this right here. And I think we're done. See how fast that was? This is why I only preferred only to work with the first half of the body, and later on we're going to symmetrize it. But we're not done yet. If we scroll here, if we move here, we can see that the hand and the shoulder and the elbow are not aligned. So to do that correctly, you should place yourself into 7. Press 7 in your numpad and then grab all of this and position it G, Y. Position it correctly, axis constraint. See again, I'm going to press R and I know how I'm going to rotate exactly in 2D view, left or right, that's all. So let's grab this and put this somewhere over here. Now this is important. This I have seen so many different people doing this. You need to have an angle rotation. If you don't have an automatic angle rotation here, whenever you rotate your bone, okay, he's going to say, okay, this is a rotation angle. But if you draw a complete straight line without the elbow bending, then the algorithm is not going to know where it needs to rotate. Okay, so this is why we always create this with an angle view, with an angle in the. All right, so that's that. In the bones. Okay, perfect. Now we need to align the fingers. This is probably what gets most people turned off, because there are so many fingers and stuff, but not to worry, we're going to do this in a snappy. Hey Sassy, thank you for joining. If you have any questions, please type them in the chat box. I'm going to be answering as soon as I notice them. So I'm going to grab all of these points and then I'm going to reposition them right here by pressing G and then moving my viewport. Remember, when you go into immediate mode, that is without gizmos, transform gizmos, wherever you position your viewport, that's the angle it's going to be taken in acquaintance to rotate. So that's why you see me move my viewport, because if I'm in this position, then I can move only left, right, up, and down in this viewport position. If I move over here, then you can see I can only move right, left, up, and down in this position. That's why you see my viewport move all around. So for example, I'm checking out this bone right here. So I'm positioning this one would be the best position to do it. So G, then I move it, and that's it. It's not gonna move far, it's not gonna move away. Many people tend to think that whenever you select something in this view and then you can go like that, and then alright, it went backwards. No, it didn't. It just went right. It just went to the left, because that's how your viewport was positioned. Again, up, down, left, right. Even though this is a 3D view, whenever you're in immediate mode, to transform anything like G, R, X, you're gonna get the transform from the viewport's orientation. That's what I wanted to say. So let's continue. And yes, the finger rotation. So Mr. Schiller, the finger rotation is very hard for me. I really get turned off by this. Why do they have to do it this complex? Well, it doesn't have to. Now that you know exactly how to manipulate from the viewport your mesh, or rather your bones, this is not to be very difficult. Also, there's one little tip I wanted to share in this live stream, and that is the bone alignment. See, whenever we're twisting bones here, they can get bent like this one. Okay, they get really horrible orientations. Like this one, for example. See, this one is oriented this way, and this one is orienting the other way. Let me switch off the bloom, because that's really killing my eyes right now. So we have an option to align correctly all of the bones, but for that, let me just quickly put this here. See how I'm moving my viewport, so that way you can get it straight with where it belongs. And this one is not so much misaligned. Probably if we grab this and place them in there. Yeah, let's grab this one and put that there. What I'm doing right now is to place it's placing every joint of the fingers in the correct place. Now, about this character, she's going to be dancing. And also, and this is a nice surprise reveal here in this live stream, she's going to be performing motion capture. Where am I going to get the motion capture from? I've been invited to beta test this next generation algorithm to analyze motion capture directly from your phone. So if you record a video following certain directions, like clean white background, solid black clothing, you don't need motion trackers, sensors. You only need to place yourself in a T-pose first, and then you record after 5 seconds of being in T-pose. You record yourself doing whatever you need to do, and the motion capture will compute your movement and then will give you an FBX. Isn't that amazing? You can use your own phone to motion capture yourself. You don't need a kinetics. Specifically, I'm going to do that for Blender. So that's the great news. And this is exactly what I was talking about. See? Right now, it's very misaligned. Look at that. It's going this way, then it's this way, then it's twisted this way. It's a mess. So what you're going to do is to select this first bone and align it into this alignment. So first, second, and third, this one gets selected last. Then you can come here into armature, and you can come here into transform, and then you can come here into align bones. And they will automatically align to the rotation of that bone. Yes, sir, any phone as long as you can meet the requirements, and which are to be recorded in a white background with a white wall, very light room, of course, and dark clothes. Your clothes have to be dark to get better contrast. And about that, I've been doing some tests, and I needed a character, and that's why I'm rigging this character right now, so you can see it. I'm not going to do the motion capture thing, although if you ask me, and if there is enough public to do it, so I can do that live. I can bring the video, I can show you the platform, and we can do that all together. I was planning to upload a 5-minute video, so if you prefer that, of course, and then later on we can do the live session. That's no problem for me, because that technology is really amazing. I mean, I was talking with the developer. That's another thing I wanted to share. Whenever I get invited to try these new technology things, I always try to you know, I don't want to say it that way, but create a bond, technical bond, bonding through technology. I don't know, name it however you want. But I was talking with the developer, and he told me, you know, we're using this and that algorithm, and if you have experience in Blender, then you can do this and that. And then I said, okay, I'm going to do the stress tests first, which means that I'm going to know how the platform thinks, what it looks for. And after that, I can use the common clips that everyone else is going to be using. And then he said, okay, you can do that. So I was trying, I call a stress test to do something on purpose that I know the machine or the algorithm will fail. And by knowing that it will fail, I'll do the total opposite. That way I know exactly what the machine is looking for, and I always give it to the algorithm. So for example, there's one huge misconception in the entire industry of motion capture, which is to work with the 30 or 60 frame capture, and that's a problem, because whenever you're tracking something, I'm sorry, I'm railing off right now, but I really need to share this, because when you're tracking something, you need to tell the machine pixel by pixel do this and then transform yourself from this position onto this other position in time. But if you do that quick enough, then you'll miss the trackers. That's a common problem everywhere. So what you really need to do in the case of dancing, because we're talking about this character for dancing, in the case of dancing, what you need to do is to de-accelerate the video to a 40% speed. So let's say your phone captures at 24 or I don't know 30 frames per second, and you need to grab that video and then slow it down to a 40%. Once you get that, you send it to the platform, and the platform reads it magnificently. You don't lose any kind of movement, and when you get your FBX tracking back, then you can accelerate it in the NLA. That's another thing many people have been asking me a lot. They say, okay, the NLA is not as powerful as this other software. And then say, look, the NLA has everything you need to work, except that it is true you need to do some adjustments here and there. But that's common practice everywhere. You don't get a motion capture clean data anywhere, except for Mixamo probably because they already did the cleaning up, so you can download it. But even then, some of the motion captures that they have are not totally cleaned. Okay, would definitely want to see that. Hi folks, good afternoon from Brazil. Hello Value Animation Studios. And thank you. So yes, I'm taking too much time already. This was supposed to be a 10-minute thing. I'm sorry, I totally derailed off on that one. Just wanted to share the news because I don't know, probably that I have a Patreon, and in my Patreon I'm putting up exclusive content specifically to create AR, and I see that the next generation for us creators, for us content creators, is going to be laying in the AR realm. Many people right now are working for VR chat, and that's good. But the AR applications that we have in the real world are going to be so much enriching once we cross this gap that we're having worldwide right now because of the pandemic. But at the moment, this new technology that I was talking about, it's brought to you by Motion by Radical. That's how it's called. That's the name of the company. You already have seen the video by, I think it was CG Cookie, no, CG Matter, no, I forget the name, but one of the other guys in the Blender community have already created a video for that video capture. But like I told you before, I've been working in the VFX industry for 20 plus years. I've been tracking a lot of things, motion tracking, 2D tracking. They call it match moving. They can call it anywhere, anyhow they want. But in the end, it's the same principle, and that is that you need to feed the machine slowly as it can all the frames that it needs, so that the machine can do its thing. Here again, we have a bone which is badly twisted, and when we generate this rig, this is going to come twisted. So how do we fix this twist? You grab that, press N, and then you're going to get a roll factor right here. See? So you can use that to twist this bone. So it's aligned. Now it's aligned. This one is not aligned. This one is going to give us trouble. Press G, immediate mode. Grab that, G, immediate mode. So now it's kind of aligned there. So it's not a big deal. Even though we generate the rig, so look at this one for example. Even though we generate the rig, we can later on adjust it as well. So that's the good thing about modular rigging here in Blender. Now, of course, if you don't know your controls, that's gonna be kind of difficult, and I get it. I myself was reluctant to come here into Blender 5 years ago. But even though it was hard, I tried my best every day, And the greatest thing that Blender has is not the algorithm, that it uses to solve things. I guess it's the community, you people make Blender an awesome tool. Why? Because we share the stuff that we find, and other users can benefit as well. So thank you, all of you who post your stuff online, share your tips. It's all about making this tool even better, and the only way to do that is to share common knowledge. There's no other way around that, and that's why I'm very happy to be a Blender Foundation certified trainer, to help individual artists and studios to integrate Blender into their own workflows or the pipeline that they have, including working with nuke, passes, advanced stuff. Mr. Schiller, if you know so much, why do you use or make these basic tutorials? Because there is this great truth, and that is that if you use your basic stuff awesomely enough, you can go into advanced very easily. Alright, so we finished creating the hand, the elbow, the shoulder, the chest, the hip, the knee, and the feet. And the foot, I'm sorry. Whoops. The foot is not finished. Let's just grab this, position that here into the heel, grab this thing and put it over here. This one is where the foot is going to bend, and of course this one is the front of the toe. See that? This is exactly why you need to check your model from every position. So Mr. Schiller, she has an ankle with a twist. So what do we do there? Okay, let's just grab this thing right here. Okay, that's aligned. And right here. Okay, so we can use that. And what about this? You can grab this and place it there. This is going to measure the way the foot is going to move. You're going to have a controller here. Have you tried Auto Rigging Pro for rigging yet? I tried it 3 years ago, but the version that is right now on the Blender market, it's the best thing out there. That's definitely hands down. And just like I mentioned before, why, Mr. Schiller, are you doing this basic stuff? Because I really want you to grasp the concepts of rigging. Once you get through that, anything out there, any other tool that can help you get there faster, it will be easier for you because you understand the basic core concepts. It should surprise you that I started in Blender 5 years ago using the other add-on. It was not Rigify, it was the one that Spring uses. I forget the name. Well, there's a secondary add-on here for rigging, and I thought, wow, this was the best thing out there. That was 5 years ago. But then I came into the Rigify roots and started to talking to other CG artists, and they told me, Rigify can do this, and I didn't want to believe. So later on, by trial and experimentations, I found out, well, this is a modular rigging thing, so it's created, designed to do extended things besides just animals and humans. So that's why I'm showing you this. All right, so let's select all the bones, right-click, and then select Symmetrize. And please notice that every bone has a name, which ends with point L, which means left, okay? So when you symmetrize, if every bone in your armature is already having a point L, immediately it will be renamed as point R, which means right. Now, the theme that I'm using, many other people have asked me, Mr. Schiller, why do you use this white clean theme? It's not a white clean theme, it's called the XSI theme, which is created by mimicking all the colors and UI schemes that Softimage used to have. And that's why you see my my screen like this. And why do I keep it um, in maintenance, or why do I keep it updating every version? Because there are a lot of users who really find out this is a nice way to move around and to detect colors. For example, right now I'm editing this armature, so it's yellow. You can see it right there. And then you can see right there that it's also yellow. So the outline should always reflect whatever you're doing here in your viewport. This is very easy color ID, color identification, if I may say so. So, okay, so what I was telling you before, once we have these two sides, I'm going to switch on the X mirror, because if you can see, the knee is not properly positioned. But if I grab this and then I move it, then the other one is going to move as well, because I have this option enabled. So I'm going to press 3, I'm going to go into the side. Now you know why it's important to have an angle, right, on every bone, so you can know how to bend it. And the legs are going to be bent from this position, yes, and this other one, probably we can move them around there. Alright, let's go for the chest. How are we doing with the chest? Okay, that's not good. 3. Let's move the chest where we can manipulate them later on. So of course she has what do you call this? Breasts. So you have breasts right here, and you should consider that the angle of rotation for the breasts are going to be somewhere around here, because that's the chest and then the breast. Well, I got news for you. Even if you place it back here, it's going to work accordingly, because this bone is not only positioned because of the chest, it's positioned because of the rib and the armpit. So this bone, it's going to distribute the weight correctly between the shoulder and between the cage rib. So it doesn't matter. You can even add additional spring or wiggle bones after that. So what I'm going to do here, just place this here. Yeah, because it's not in my interests that she moves her breast when she's jumping or doing stuff. I guess they call it sport bra. Well, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, let's go for this part. G, Y, and then it will go backwards. Okay, that's good. Let's go for the neck. Just grab this, place it right there. This one is in the correct position, this one is in the correct position, and this is very important. Many people also, when they are creating the Rigify rig, leave this bone right here. Well, actually that's going to give you a control for the head, so that's why you need to place it above the head. So now let's deal with the face, which is the most intriguing part in this process. I don't know how much time we're doing right now. I'm sorry, this was intended to be a 10 or 20 minute at most. So just going to upload this whenever it's finished, and then I'm going to leave this for 1 week, and after that I will delete this video and then upload the 5-minute version. I will redo this once again, because I believe there's not enough information about Rigify out there, and it really will help your life when you're rigging your characters, and we're going to go deep into this. So I appreciate any other questions you have, and please let me know if the audio is difficult to understand. I might try to write in the chat. So the face, so how do we deal here? Now I have a special consideration for this. I do not delete or hide bones, although I should do that in the face. What I tend to do here, specifically in the face, because I'm very fearful that if you move a single bone out of its place, the rig will break and it will not generate anything, and you've totally wasted 2 hours of your work day, and that's not going to happen. So what I tend to do here is just to simply activate the mirror thing here while we're on edit mode. Please don't forget, we're editing the meta rig, that's how it's called, where we can understand this as a pre-rig or the modular rig. I prefer to call it that way because that's what in reality this is. This is the modular rig. You're creating the models to later on generate the rig, the final rig. So we need to adjust many things like the eyes, like the eyelids and the forehead. So let's first start with the ears. And right now, if I move this one, you're gonna notice the other one's moving as well because we have this activated. Very important. One on your keyboard, on your numpad. Now let's grab this. This is another thing I wanted to share with you guys because people tend to say, why do we need ear rig? Why do we need to rig the ear? Well, it happens so that when you're scared or you're using a semi-human character, to be understood that it has ears, like an elf, they have pretty prominent ears. So the creators of Rigify considered that and then added into the facial performance or the facial rig this kind of bones. So you can elongate them or extrude them or rather move them to where the point of the ear is. But in normal humans, we tend to use this as animators to exaggerate the form whenever she's smiling, for example, or where she's really, deceptioned. Your ear tends to go up just a tad or down just a tad, just a little bit in those emotions, and that conveys the performance. That's why this exists. So later on, I tend to use the lobular bones. Now let's go for the jaw, lower bones right there. And another consideration, please keep your bones inside your mesh, because at the moment of generation, the Python script runs a, let's call it the ray call. It shoots a ray from this distance to anywhere where the Python script says. So if you have your bone out here, let's say that I'm going to grab this bone and I'm going to place it out here. The ray is going to shoot out and it's going to find nothing. And then it's going to shoot in and it's going to find this. And then the middle section is going to be from where the weights are going to be distributed. And you don't want that. What you want is always to put your bones inside the mesh so that it can calculate the shooting ray outside and the shooting ray inside to distribute the weights. So it's very smart in that sense. And of course, if you're going to ask me, Mr. Schiller, if you have 20 plus years experience in all of the commercial advertisement, video game entertainment, movie effects and stuff, why do you choose this so basic rig? Again, I'm doing this because you need to pilot the basics. The channel, my channel, is going to grow into more advanced stuff in time. But I feel that most of you, and I'm really happy for that, most of you already are grasping the basic concepts. And that's amazing. I feel so elated when I see someone go through, 5K subscribers to 50K subscribers. That's just amazing, using only Blender. Like, there's a channel I saw the other day, I don't remember the name exactly. He challenges himself to do some kind of any challenge in 10 minutes using Blender. And he's faster by the tutorial. Every tutorial he makes, he gets faster in the next one and faster in the next one. And now I think his subscriber count is soaring through the roof. And I'm really happy when people notice that Blender is pretty advanced, pretty quick, but you don't get to go into a 2-wheel bicycle if you didn't train in the 4-wheel bicycle first. You get me, right? Later on we can change it into a motorcycle. Okay, Rogerio Stravino. Hello. If possible, explain what method to use to lip sync and character expressions and how you append or link your rig with shape keys and to use them. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. Yes, sure. The questions that I cannot answer right now because we're going through this. I'm taking notes. It's also being recorded on the stream, and then I'm going to create a secondary video which is going to be faster than I'm doing right now. Right now, I want all of you to, first of all, be welcome into the channel. We welcome into the stream. and second of all, to ask very difficult questions. I love these questions. Thank you, Rogerio, sorry, because that's what I like to answer. When I came to Blender 5 years ago, I asked many different people, why do you do this? And they always say, it's because that's the way it's been done in Blender from before. And I really hate that kind of answers. Why? Because when we are artists, we need to know the tendency why things happen the way they happen. Otherwise, we cannot implement creativity because we will be bind to that mental form of believing, of beliefs. I think you get the point, right? So when you ask complex questions, at least for me, I'm very happy because I can tell you all the technical aspects that go inside of those questions. So the first thing I'm going to answer right off from from my vocal voice. Sorry, redundancy. Yes, when you finish creating this rig, you need to put everything, including the controllers, inside a collection. As a matter of fact, I think it's part 13 or 15 from the Complete Blender Workflow 2020 series that I'm uploading in my channel. Right now it's only uploaded until part number 2 or 3, I think, because I don't have much time, but every video is already recorded. And in part 15, I'm showing step by step how to bring your completed rigs into other scenes. Specifically because when you finish this, when you generate the rig, you have different controllers and the bones. I've read in the forums, for example, that many people try to import their custom bone shapes and they do not come when they are linked or they are being appended. And why is that? Because you need to put everything inside a single collection. You cannot use the general collection, the default collection. Don't use that. Just create a new collection, and inside that collection, put all your deformers, put all your custom bones, and bring them in a single collection. Mr. Chiller, can we have sub-collections inside those collections? Well, when you're appending, no. You need to put everything in a single collection in a single level. Otherwise, Blender will not recognize them because you have different interaction layers, and then Blender is not going to know where to bring those layers linked from. That's the only issue. So to solve that, you only need to put everything inside your own unique collection, and after you append, then you can place your subfolder for that collection. I hope this is clear. If it's not clear, please let me know. At least from my own experience, that's what I've been doing, and it's been working great so far. But to answer in general, yes, you can create custom bones, and then you can put them inside your own collection. But just a single level, just to play it safe. Of course, Blender 2.9 will address all of those issues if they are not being addressed right now. That is why it's very important to read always the developer notes. When they post it online, you should go on there and read there what the new implementations or the bug fixes are, and that will get you in a safe workflow. So that your rig will not break. So again, I'm doing this very calmly, very patiently. I can do this faster, but I really enjoy that you make these questions. And the other thing was if it can transfer shape keys. Yes, it can transfer shape keys. That's not a problem. That's not a problem at all. So when you implement or link your rig, how do you do, Mr. Schiller, to manipulate it? Because when I implement it, I see that I cannot move my rig. I see it in my scene, but I cannot move it. I cannot animate it. I cannot override anything. Well, that's the key word, override. When you bring your collection, you need to click on your character, or rather click on your rig, because the only thing really that you're going to move is your rig. Click on your rig and it will highlight. And when it highlights, then you can apply with right click on the outliner, the override command. So that way, everything you do in your rig locally in that file or in that scene is going to be overridden only on that scene, while your rig is being maintained saved or safe when linking. I'm going to press 1, and now I'm going to press G, Z to put this all the way over here because that needs to be addressed. 3, number 3 to move this over here. I'm lasso selecting everything because, as you can see, that's my preferred method. As soon as I let go, it immediately gets selection, and then it goes back into G move. That's why I like to use lasso selection. Many people ask me, Mr. Schiller, why do you select things that way? It's because when I release it, I immediately go back into G mode. Okay, can you elaborate? Amit Rana, hello Amit. Can you elaborate on how much the bone needs to be inside the mesh to play nice with the algorithm? Yes. Well, we mentioned that a few moments ago. And the sweet spot, let's say that you have this jawbone right here. I explained that the shooting rate that the algorithm calculates, it's outside and inside by 1 unit. Okay? Probably I didn't say the number, but it's only by 1 unit. When you transfer weights, you have the opportunity to shoot the rate even further, like 5 units, 6 units, and that's better considering that you're going outside. But when you're going inside, and please take notice that this is calculated from both sides. So it's 5 units outside and then 5 units inside, and that will take that will invade other bones weight, and you don't want to do that. What you want to do is to calculate 1 unit outside and then 1 unit inside. That's how far the basic Rigify detection goes. So keep that in mind. For example, if you have it right here, I know that 1 unit will cover this and then 1 unit will cover this. And that's just a safe place before touching any other weight bones that I have from the jaw. So I can go even up until this point, it will work, it still work, but not this one, for example. This one is invading too much area from this, so I'm going to move it probably there. Alright, let's go for the lips. 1. Please feel confident to ask any complex questions. Like I mentioned before, I really like to dissipate or dissolve any kind of difficult questions that you can ask in the forums that you have not been answered to. I will totally help you with that. G, Y. I want to constraint G, Y. I'm sorry, I don't have my key capture software active. I need to install it into Blender 283. I use the Steam version. Mr. Schiller, if we have daily development, why do you use the Steam version? For 2 reasons. First of all, because the community really appreciates how many hours you've been using Blender. And that tells them, you know, this guy really uses the software. And the second reason is because it keeps count of my hours doing something or some project. Say, for example, that I start any kind of project with 200 hours in, and then when I finish and deliver the project, I get 1,000 hours out. And that's a way for me to know exactly how much time I invested into that project. And just like I was mentioning before, there's this guy who makes 10-minute challenge to do something. Like, I think the video that I saw, it was like, let's create a Hot Wheel car in 10 minutes or something like that. It was about a car. That's how far I remember. It was about a car, and then he modeled it. He modeled it in 10 minutes, and the clock is ticking, and everyone there is cheering. I guess he does live streams as well, because there are a lot of people subscribing to him, and it's really great. And I was mentioning that whenever you master the basics, like anyone that gets into Blender, such as myself, for example, 5 years ago, and then you go at it every day, and then you really master the basics, then everything else, everything that is complex, becomes easier. Because you know where to go, you know where to search, you know where to find things. For example, here, Mr. Schiller, how do we know what's the correct altitude for the forehead bones? Okay, you want it tall enough that you can deform this eyebrow, but you don't want it so tall that it will deform your skull. Okay, that's how far. So you really need to take in acquaintance the motion range from here up until this point. Of course, it's not going to move all the way up. This is just the limit for this to slide on. If you've seen the controllers that later get generated, that controller can go anywhere, but the safe distance will be between this and this to raise up the eyebrow. That's how I know how far I want this. Okay, and of course we can check that it follows the head's curve rotation. It's good from this angle. This is not good. G, Y. Okay, any other questions that I missed? Value Animation Studio, but with this live stream, I'm thinking that I tried Rigify to do some of my 3D animations in Blender. Yes, sure, indeed. Indeed, that's the aim here, Sir Value Animation Studios. The idea here is that you can grasp all the Blender concepts and pilot it like a pro. Mr. Schiller, I think you're different than the other trainers because it's weird that someone wants to give their secrets all out. Why do you do this? Why did you share that? Like I mentioned before, I am a Blender certified trainer, and when I got this entitlement, I had to apply to the Blender Foundation, and they asked me, do you have a vocation to teach? And this was a crucial question. Then I answered, sure. I've been teaching a lot of 3D through my entire career. And I explained some of the cases, and they thought, yes, this is what the Blender community needs. And this was 5 years ago. So that gave me the opportunity to do live workshops where many different people from many different softwares like Maya, ZBrush, Modo even, Houdini, had the opportunity to practice with Blender tools. I'm not going to convert anyone. My goal is not to convert anyone. Anyone can believe what they can do with the software as long as they know the tools. That's all we know. But the crucial point here is, how do you master them? I mean, where do you go, or whom do you go to understand how the tool works? That's what makes all the difference. I stopped learning Houdini because I was, trying it on my leisure time. But I understood that to really master Houdini, you need a mentor and you need a math proficient mentor. Because Houdini is so freaking powerful that if you don't grasp the concepts from the base, like we're doing right now, if you don't understand how the math and the formulas and the variables work, you're just wasting your time in Houdini. You need to grasp those concepts from the root up. There's no other way. I mean, you can do simulations, don't get me wrong. You can do simulations, you can do fractures, you can do, I don't know, whatever thing the shelf offers you. You can even manipulate attributes and shaders, and that's all cool. But it will get to a point where you really need to know what you're doing to master it. And when I hit that brick wall, I said, okay, I better invest my time doing DaVinci Resolve than Houdini. Why? Because DaVinci Resolve is the best new software being paid top bucks for commercial advertisement. And if you know my channel and if you know my profile, I work for commercial advertisement for TV and cinema. What that means is that whenever we get a project, we have only a turnaround of 2 or 3 weeks to deliver. And when I say we, I refer to myself and some other 2 friends that I have to work in those projects. I have my studio. Thanks God, things have been going not so bad and also not so well, but it's been stable through these times, through these rough times. I know people have been getting very hard times, especially in LA, because I'm still connected with some of the people there. And they right now are trying to fight so that June 17th will be the date, so that they will reopen the VFX shops and the production houses again. And yeah, it's been really rough for the cinema production industry in general because of the pandemic. But outside of that, you get really short times to turn around or to deliver the project in the end. So that's one of the things I really GY. So I'm going to move this GY some more. And what I'm trying to do here, as you can see, she doesn't have a full a rounded eyeball. She doesn't have it. See? Why is this? Because I need to place the exact center of the imaginary eyeball that I have right here for the center of her eyes. So I'm going to press GY and move it back some more until I reach the pupil. So that way I know that the circumference of the eye is going to be considered when she's rotating the eye. And I guess at this point, this one is the right position. So I'm going to leave it there. You can, this is another nice thing which I did not get while I was trying Modo. In Modo, you kind of create this special edit section too, like in Blender. It's a different context when you're in object mode and when you go into edit mode. In Modo, you have edit mode for the armature as well. And that's a nice thing, that whenever you generate the rig, the final rig, you can go back into the edit mode and continue to adjust the bones even after you have generated the final rig. That's another advantage that I see here. Well, we finished this finally. Thank you, sir. Now let's just save an additional version. Her name is Clarissa, or Clarice for the UK users. Clarice. Anyways, let's adjust this bone, probably around there. And I tend to work in progressive incremental numbers so that I know that my latest number is the most recent version. I don't go for Clarissa version number 1 or Clarice actually number 1, because I know that was not the latest version created for this model. Instead, it's the last version, and versioning is very important in production. Okay, Mr. Schiller, what do we do with this upper teeth bone and this lower teeth bone? What those stand for? And this one, I guess it's going to be something like the tongue. Why is the tongue all the way back there? Yes, we need to adjust the tongue probably around here. Probably adjusting this all the way over here because I don't have a tongue for this character. I don't tend to use tongues immediately in the rig generation. I use them later when the rig is generated, so I know exactly where they go. But if you need to do it, so please adjust it accordingly so that you have the base, you have the middle section, and then you have the tip of the tongue right here. I'm going to leave it here just like I mentioned before because I do that after I create the rig. So this is the upper teeth bone controller and this is the lower teeth bone controller. It doesn't matter how it's positioned right now because again I'm going to be adjusting this later on. Mr. Schiller, but wouldn't those weights be considered when you're creating the bone, the general rig? Yes, they will be considered, but they will not be shooting rays as far as the other bones. We mentioned that this ray is shot through a 1 unit outside and 1 unit inside. The bones for the teeth and the tongue are not shot that far. As a matter of fact, I think this is shooting just 0.3 or 0.5, and the tongue shoots at 0.3 or 0.2. They shoot very low rays. And when I mean the rays, I mean the scale of each of these little boxes that we have right here. You see them here, right? So let's just say this is an entire unit. And 0.3 will be something like this. It's not even 1. It's not even considered 1. Mr. Schiller, how do you know so much if you have never seen the actual code in the Rigify Python script? Well, sir, I'm glad you asked that kind of question. I love those difficult questions. It's because that's the way the heating procedure works in Modo, and it's also the way heating methods work when you're using automatic weights. So basically the algorithms kind of do the same thing, and so therefore you know that you can do that stuff. Just like motion tracking, like I explained before. If you go and motion capture someone dancing at normal speed, then the machine and the algorithm is not going to calculate the FBX movements as well. But if you slow them down by 40% and later on when you get the FBX you fast forward them again or place them back or reconnect them at 100% speed, then you're going to get your motion capture data fantastically, at least 50% finished, because you still need to clean some of the motion capture data. Okay, so we have her right here. Mr. Schiller, are you going to place bones for the ponytail? Yes, we are, but we are going to do that later. I don't want to put anything else here on the rig because I don't want to break it. Just like I mentioned before, I could, but this is just the basics. We're going to go into advanced probably in some other video. So once we have all that, we exit out of the edit mode and go back into object mode. And now that we have all this here, we're going to save this. And you can see these layers that we have here. Let me just hide everything here. In Skeleton, we have these different layers that are going to be populated once the final rig is generated. Right now, we have a scene collection, and inside that, we have a collection, and then we have a meta rig. Okay? I'm not going to even touch this thing because I don't want the Python script to break. After we generate everything, then you can go in and manipulate sizes. And for example, I think I scaled this model. I don't remember. No, it's not scaled. Right here, it's the original measurement 1:1:1 scale. But if I was to scale this, I would not apply transformations. No, I would copy them from the meta rig and then paste them on the final rig. That's what I do. So that way you don't miss a single point. Many people do it manually. I used to do it manually as well. But I discovered that the meta rig still holds the original transformations, so I just copy them and then paste them to the final scale size for the rig. All right, so that's it. This is going to be populated. We're going to get other more options. I'm sorry, more options here. But the real button that we're looking for is to generate the rig. So that comes here in the Rigify button. So I'm going to generate the rig just as we are, and we make sure that everything is in place, like the pupils, like the eyelids. That's going to go well. And we generate the rig. Let's go. Let's see if I miss another question. Wow, magic. Okay. Rambut versus Luigi. Rambut versus Luigi. I hope I pronounced that right. If you're a bit familiar with Rigify, setting up the rigs and especially the rig settings with all of the layer bones is tedious. Yes, it is. That's why we're skipping that section right now. But we can go into an advanced stream where we can talk about all of that. This add-on allows you to save the setting and then save pre-made meta rigs as well. Yes, sir. That's another nifty feature why I left the other rig add-on and I switch over to Rigify. I still don't, let me just check. It's not in this one. It's not in this one. There's an option on 279 for two different rig add-ons, and the one that I'm using is Rigify, and the other one I don't remember. So our rig is generated, Mr. Schiller. What do we do next? Next, what we want to do is to create a new collection. So you go right here, create new collection, because we want to export our character later on in the game. And this is going to be called Clarice Rig. And we're going to select our rig. You can see it right there. And then press M, and then we're going to move it to Clarice Rig. And then I'm going to select the meta rig, and then I'm going to press M, and then also move it into the Clarice Rig. I'm going to activate the rest of the selection and rendering buttons, and I'm going to switch them all off. You can do that from here, or simply open this up and and you can switch also the collection off the screen by clicking here. But that is not our case, so I'm going to switch them off from there. Okay, Mr. Schiller, I cannot see the bone, so what do we do next? We again come to the viewport display, click in front, and now we have all of this. I'm going to save this as a progressive version. I tend to use dash 1, I'm sorry, minus 1 or minus 2, or slash 1 slash 2, just a sub minimal changes. Thank you everyone again for joining the stream. Any hard question, any hard technical questions we have, I'll be gladly answering them right here, although I'm taking notes to create a video about your questions in the next live stream or possibly video tutorial. We have 1 hour and 10 minutes now, so I should be finishing this. So, okay, it's there. So now let's try and test this. I'm going to press tab, go into post mode, select my foot control, and I wanted to tell you this, that if you come here into the bones, into the skeleton or rig, you have what it's called the bone groups, and those bone groups assign specific colors for you to notice when you're working with the rig. These colors are not random. These colors are here to send you a message on how to use them. So for example, this control that I just clicked on is red color coded. So if you go here, the IK mode of the bone is red color coded. Probably you knew this or probably you didn't, but what we want to know here is how does that help me? That helps you because you have in the rig main properties the slider that it will tell you, hey, this is in IK mode right now and therefore it's at 0. But if you move it to the right side, it's going to go into forward kinematic movement, and that means you no longer need the IK, you're going to search for the FK. See that? FK and then FK in the green themed bone. So the theme of the bone being green, I select it and then I can rotate it because it's on the FK. And this is the gold reveal, the golden reveal here. When you're rigging and you complete your rig and you want to retarget your motion capture to the Rigify rig, you do not use IK controllers. You only use forward kinematic controllers. So Mr. Schiller, if I get you right, you're saying that we can mocap and then retarget a Rigify rig without any external add-ons. Yes, sir, you're right, and you win the $1 million question. Hello, Bonnie Void. You should try to power save. It automates the naming system. Oh, sure, yes. We're just walking through the basics right now. That's why I'm explaining it. I'm explaining this real basic stuff because I want to troubleshoot what most of the users find. So I hope this stream will stay, although at this point many difficult technical questions have been answered, so I may not delete this and do the short version. So I'm just going to leave them uploaded in the channel. Okay, so let me see if I missed another question. Will you participate in the event for the Beer of the Blender NPR? Yeah, unfortunately for me, I have a lot of deliveries to do. I'm just doing this to take a little time off because in the future I might probably search for new Blender workers. So I want them to know this really deep stuff so that whenever they come to me, I could just say, just check out that video where I mentioned so and so, such and such technique. Because there's a lot of demand for VR, just like I was saying before, for motion capture data, at least at this time of the pandemic. People does not want to put anyone in risk, so they are turning into the virtualization. But that's a big opportunity for us creators, Blender users as well, to create VR, AR, and motion capture tracking stuff. And that's why I'm going through the basics, because probably in another video I might go into very deep technical stuff. That depends on how people react to this video. Okay, so is there a way to deform the face with the camera view? Sure, yes, there is. I have been asked this question a lot. That is going to be included in the fourth part of the series for the stylized shader, for the Guilty Gear stylized shader. A lot of drivers, a lot of constraints. I'm going to go into deep stuff, step by step. I'm not going to do a quick tutorial about that because that takes its own time. but it's generally easy. What you want to do is to set up a constraint from a point in the center of the head to the camera, and that is going to give you a value. That value you're going to use to drive the shapes of the character. That's in a nutshell what you need to do. It's not really complex, but you know, doing it step by step, and it's better. So anyways, let's go back here. So right now I'm in forward kinematic. I can see that if I touch this control, I know that my controller is on forward kinematics. That's good. Inverse kinematics is red. Special is yellow. So like this one, for example, is yellow. The tweak controllers are placed in blue color. That means I can, you know, scale them, for example, like this. I'm sorry, move them. Oh, but this is because we have not already parented our rig. So let's just do that. So we're checking everything is in place. Let's check out the fingers. I think they all look right. Perfect. The elbow. Yep, I think that should do it. Yeah. I'm doing this quickly. I'm going to redo this on the previous version, probably version 4. So yes, everything is there. So now what you need to do is to go back into object mode, select your rig. Oh, Mr. Chiller, you have 2 different rigs, or 2 different meshes, 3 different meshes actually. How do you deal with that when you're rigging for Rigify? Well, since this one only has the neck, I only need to care to transfer the weights from the chest to the neck, and that will be solved. So we will do that as well. So grab this, and then grab your Rigify, press Ctrl P, and then finally get to automatic weights, and that will populate your meshes. Whoops, I guess she was not transformed. Let's apply transforms to her. See that? This totally needs to be applied transformations. So go to apply in object, apply all transforms, and now they are all zero out. This is what is known in Maya and other softwares such as zeroing the transforms. So again, the same thing goes for the head. Apply all transforms. Yeah, in case you're wondering why I'm using the menus, it's because this is intended for Maya users as well. There was this particular Maya user who asked me for this stream, so I'm doing it right now because all of the Maya users are coming into Blender and they really want to get their, you know, their ball rolling with Rigify. So again, now that that's been zeroed out or freezed, let's select that. Let's select the rig. I'm going to click it from here. I always like to click it from here. Click selection. Control P again, and then this is going to set the parents. Yes, this is another thing I wanted to explain. Please let me catch just a little bit of water. Alright, that was refreshing. So, Maya users and other software users think that parenting here in Blender specifically relates to their parenting in their 3D software. Parenting in Blender is just another way of saying bring that data set from the vertices onto these manipulators or this armature. Okay? It's not the same as parenting as in child parent objects, but it's in the inheriting of the data, transfers of the weight. That's how it's meant here in Blender. So that's why we say parent with automatic weights. So bring all those weights into this data set and then apply them. Alright, so why is this happening? So dimensions, so probably it's this. Apply all transforms, I guess. Now let's go. Select this and this. Control P, automatic weights, and if this, yeah. So funny. Enter pose mode. Should it move? No, it didn't move. Of course it didn't. So, Mr. Cheater, what is going on now? When you encounter this kind of problems, you should always check, and this is something that broke my head many times, and I can tell you right now, it's the cause of this. You should check your normals. Please check your normals first. Edit mode, and go to the normal size. I can see it right here. So all your normals should be in place, and if they are, the second thing you should check to troubleshoot this kind of problem should be merge by distance. Okay, I don't see why this has a problem at all. But let's just go with Shift N to recalculate normals. Shift N recalculate normals. Just in case, to be sure. Okay, if this rotates, I guess this is because the y-axis is up. Okay, yes. So for some reason, Blender still computes that this model, if I can use the translate tool, and then show me the axis, I can see, and it's most likely that this is rotated in the wrong direction. Axis right here. Yes. Mr. Schiller, so what do we do? Well, it's easy to do. First of all, we're going to do it in the brute force mode, because I can do this in a lot of different ways, but I want to show you how this can be solved. So we have the y-axis, the positive y-axis, because this was brought from a software who's got the y-axis up, and when the parenting goes on, it's taking all of those vertices as if they were on this axis, and that's why we see the model immediately fall to the floor. So what we need to do is to rotate this, and to do that we go here and then into the options, activate origins. Okay, and from that you're going to grab your rotate tool, and manually you're going to rotate this, I guess, 90 degrees, because what we want is to rotate 90 degrees in Z, in X, I'm sorry. So let's just do that. Rotation in X, 90 degrees. See? Whoops. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm rotating the origins without being in edit mode, actually. So I'm going to go into edit mode right now. And from there on, it should be easier. So, grab this. It will not allow me. Do I have weights? No, I don't. Oh, there it is. I don't know why it wasn't working before. That's weird. Okay, that is X minus... Oh, I guess I found a bug. Yes, sir, we found a bug. You should be happy, because whenever we find a bug, we can report it to the developers so they can fix it. This is Blender 283, by the way. And you just notice that if I manually transform it from the transforms panel, the entire model shifts. It should not happen. It should only happen that the pivot, which is, or I'm sorry, the origins, which is selected here, that's the only thing that should be rotated, like this. See, I'm getting the numbers transformed, but if I type them in, then I get the data set to direct the transformation towards the model and not the origin, and that should not happen. Anyways, let's leave that there. Let's switch this off. Whoops. Switch this off, and finally let's do this. Object, apply all transformations to delta, and grab that automatic weights. No, it failed. Mr. Schiller, I have an idea. Why don't you go into edit mode and then manually rotate the entire thing, and then you correct it back from the edit mode. Gosh, you're such a genius. See, this is why we do this kind of streams. Alright, let's go into edit mode. Let's do that. Let's do exactly that. Let's rotate. Wait, okay. Let's rotate it 90 degrees. RX 90. I'm sorry, RX minus 90. And then let's just grab all of that all of those vertices. Whoops. Okay, now I'm really confused because the origin point is not up there, and it should. Whoa. Okay, so am I missing something else? Mirror modifier, let's apply it as well. Is there any way to deform the face with the camera view? Okay, we answered that. Devon Grant, thank you for your question. Bonnie Void, not for the versioning system. Nice find, that's critical. Yes, it is. Um. Why are we getting? Wait. Wait, just that tad. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go back into Blender 282. Just for a second. Okay, where do I have the 282 version? No, I guess I don't have it. This might be a bug, you know? Because Blender 283 recently came out, and this is probably a bug. Okay, Mr. Schiller, what do you do when you run out of things to try? What I do and what you should do when you should encounter this kind of problems, something is going on in the entire scene, in the entire data level of the blocks. So even developers have told me this. When you encounter those kind of problems, just select the thing that you're having trouble with and then export it and then re-import it back. Also, it could be that I moved the meta rig out, the rig outside the collection where I have the widgets. If you see that, the widgets are outside the collection, and I did that too early because I thought I already had rigged the model. So let's just try that before exporting and re-importing the mesh again. So I'm going to select these two things, move them back into the main collection, so that they are both in alignment with the widgets. As you can see, the widgets are right there, so I'm going to switch them on, switch them off. Okay, right there. And I'm positively sure that it's about that. Let me just delete this hair thing too, because it doesn't have anything to do here. And okay, let's do that again, one more time. I'm going to select the mesh, and then I'm going to select the rig, Control P, with automatic weights. No, sir. It's not happening. It's not happening, sir. Control Z. This is beyond weird now. So let's go with whatever we were planning to do. Export FBX. Yes, you will lose some of the stuff that we already had, but it doesn't matter. Unless, let me see. We can do one of two things. We can either export or append, and I will be shooting two birds with one stone. Let me delete this. Probably the naming stuff is creating confusion as well. Oh, I see what the problem is. Yeah, I see what the problem is. This is so funny. The original mesh is parented under another null or another empty, and that empty is parented into the correct orientation null. Okay, so freaking funny. Let's select that and then Alt P and keep transforms. Again, let's I don't know why do we have all of this. Let's just delete, select the hierarchy. You know what? Delete this body, and let's hide all of these like it never happened. Okay, so where's the body? Can I select it? Yes, there it is. Okay, this is the one that we are interested in. So let's check out the transfer. Oh, there it is. See, I told you, 90 degrees. That's why every time we rigged it, it will turn around. So I'm really happy that you're staying into this point of the video, because you have to be troubleshooting one by one all of the options. And in our case, it was because the body was not an isolated mesh. It was parented under other empties which were rotated. So finally, we can apply the transform. Yay. Apply all transforms. Bam. Come on. If that doesn't work, I'm going to go with transform, apply all transforms to deltas, which also will place everything there. Mr. Schiller, but if you already saw that that gave you trouble, why are you doing this again? And also, didn't you move this pivot point? Yes, we did, so let's place it back again. 90 degrees. 90.7, 90.9, 90.1, and I'm going to press shift so you can move your selection slowly. There we go. Okay. And apply all transforms. Whoops. Apply all transforms to delta. Okay. Control P. And finally it worked. Of course it will work, because we found out what the problem was. So select your rig, select pose, select your foot. I always like to start with the foot, not with the head, not with the arms. I always like to start with the foot, because if this works, then that means we've done our job correctly. And it didn't. It did not. What about the armature? Select this guy. Let's go to the modifiers. That's that. Let's just delete that. And let's delete all of the previous created. Remove all groups. Clear. Delete all groups. Alright. And finally, let's apply Alt P to clear the parent and keep it transforms. Okay. Enter edit mode, Control A, spacebar or F3 for search, merge by distance. And you can see down here, remove 0 vertices, so that was not the problem. So what else could it be? Okay, it could be that we are working in another collection. Just like I mentioned before, collections and the script can have troubles. So make sure that whenever you're working, please work in the default collection. Do not touch anything or don't move anything until after you have weighted everything. And then you can move everything around, and then you can port it out, link it, append it, do whatever you need. So I'm going to select all of the visible objects, and then I'm going to transport them back into the original collection. Move to the original collection. Okay, that's good. We're gonna keep troubleshooting this all the way, sirs, because we don't want anyone coming from another package finding this kind of troubles and then saying, you know, Blender is shoot. I cannot work in it. No, sir. There are steps for everything and anything you do in any 3D software. I cannot go into Flame claiming, you know, flaming is not a good compositing software, when I have already seen that the most blockbuster movies have been created in Flame. I was a Flame compositor, by the way, many years ago. Really awesome software to key and matte. Alright, so first select the body. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me switch the origin selection. Alt A, body, rig, Control P, automatic weights. Let's go. Power Rangers. Nope. It did not pick it up. I have the same problem while I'm exporting Rigid character from Maya to Blender, and also the bones are messy. Yes, sir, because that has to do with the orientation, just like we experienced before. So let's continue troubleshoot. This was supposed to be a pretty straightforward, but I'm going into all of these issues, so all of you should feel confident that, you know, there are ways to solve this. move this to the complete collection. And I don't know why sometimes you get this strange glitch. I hope this is not the case, but sometimes you get this strange glitch where every bone of your armature will not deform. This is another technical stuff I wanted to explain. All of your original deforming bones are set into this layer right here. Okay, this layer right here. Mr. Schiller, this is a very weird way to orient or to place layers. This is layer number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you don't come here. 9. No, this is not 9. This is number 9. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, all the way over here. And in here is where we have the original bones to work with. And if you notice, every time I click one of these layers, one of these buttons also highlights. And that is how we control these layers individually from out here. But what we're interested in right now is to go into edit mode and find out if the deforming bones are actually deforming. Where do we find it deforming bones? You select your rig. Right here, you select your rig, press tab, enter edit mode. And in here you will find every bone that is placed into the, I apologize for those traffic noises. Everything that you will find inside the rig. But the bones that we are really interested in are this, right here. All of these bones are the ones that really do drive your animation. As you can see, these were the previous bones that we were setting up. You can see that, right? If you click on them, you can read now that the bone is called def, which stands for deformation. So the deformation bones, that means to be understood. Only this layer is the one that is going to move your character around. So everything that we do should have these bones with the correct deformation or deform parameter active. So if you have this inactive or turned off, then this bone will not activate the weights. It will not shoot the rays and it will not weight appropriately. So I'm going to activate it and check out that every other bone has deform active. So everything seems to be in place right here. And I guess this stream is not going to be called rigging in 10 minutes. I guess this is going to be Rigify troubleshooting. I really wanted to get to the face and the pose modes, but I guess that's going to have to be in another video. So everything is there, everything is deforming, so now let's go out. And let's try a different parenting method. I'm going to go back into object mode. I'm going to switch everything on again. Okay, and then I'm going to switch off that layer, this one right here. I'm going to click it so that I don't have to see those deforming bones. And then I'm going to try a new method. The vertex groups, I'm going to delete them, delete all groups. I'm going to Alt-P, unparent them from their actual rig, and that will set the mesh free again, keeping the transformations. And as you can see, probably the name is also bugging. At data level, at object level, I'm sorry, this is called NCL 14001. What kind of name is that? Just grab this and drop it over here so that your scene level and your object level are named exactly the same way. And now let's make this a shorter name. Let's get rid of the proper name, Clarissa. Probably we're getting problems because this name is too long. That I have also seen. And also, please notice that we have this double periods here. Semicolon, no, colons. I think they are called. This should not happen. All of these should not be named that way. So the stylized body, I'm going to just name it as such, stylized body. Let's try with a shorter name. Have any idea about that? Oh. So let's try again. Let's select this. I have a rotation, a strange rotation, so apply all transforms. Whoops. Okay, so definitely something's going on with transformations there. All transformations to delta dimensions. And you know what? I'm just going to export it, FBX, and I'm going to export it as simply body. Right? It's a short name. I'm not gonna check anything here. Not making animation. Just export that. And now I'm going to hide this, and then I'm going to import again that FBX, the body, import it as such. Whoa, no sir, delete. I should have picked up export selection only. Well, that was a nice advancement now that I've seen it, to be exported with the complete select objects. You check that there. With the complete rig volumes. That was something I did not expect. Import FBX body again. And there's my body without any materials. I don't care. I just want to try this. Selection, and then selecting this. Control P, Control P, automatic weights. And if this fails, this will be the last time I'm going to try that method. We have here with automatic weights, yes sir. Keep transforms, sure. Let's go. Post mode, and sure enough, whoops, nope, it didn't work. It did not work. Okay, what can we be missing here? I'm going to delete all groups, and then I'm going to try a different parenting method. Select the body, select this, Control P, and now with envelope weights. I actually don't want to try this because I've tried it in the past, and this has a lot to do with the envelope thing. You have to manipulate all of those weights in there. So let's go with envelope weights nevertheless, and then you get a new list here on your deformers, and from there on you can pose it, and no, it didn't. Okay, that's 1 hour 42 minutes, and I guess we're way past this time. I'm sorry, but I cannot continue the stream, so in this time I'm going to be taking all of your questions. I hope I have answered every one of them, and of course there will be part 2 for this. I will find the problem and then upload it, of course, in the shorter version, probably around 10-minute version, where I'll be doing this in a fast pacing video, and then solving this issue, because it is not normal. Of course, Blender 283 is a new version that just have come out, so probably this is a bug. The Rigify probably needs to be updated. The Rigify script probably needs to be updated. I wasn't going to try this on 282. I wanted to try it on 283 because later on I was planning to go into sculpting mode and continue to sculpt the armature and the corrections for the elbow bending and more advanced stuff. So if you are a Maya user and you found this video, thank you very much for visiting my channel. I will continue this series. Please understand that I have a lot of other works as well, and it might not be as quickly as you may imagine, but if you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button, then you'll get notifications every time I upload a new video. For now, that is been everything from my side, and you can even comment whatever questions you have regarding the time frame here in the comment section below. So I will be fixing this, or actually reporting those 2 bugs, and let's see how the Blender developers answer to those things. Now, that's another thing I really wanted to probably close this with, and that is that if you come from another software, for example 3D Max or Maya or Modo or Lightwave or Rhino or Cinema 4D, Blender community works in this way. Whenever you find a problem like this, you can immediately report it through this menu, Help, and then Report a Bug. Okay, you click on there, And then you're gonna get this window. Let me see if I can put it up here. I cannot read the chat right this second. Then you're gonna get this report window. And the way you use this is that you put a title, you put a quick identifying title. Then here in the system information, you do not have to change anything. It's been already filled for you. And the Blender version, this is important because you can place this worked on version 282. Okay? And you don't have to write anything here because this has been automatically filled for you, but it worked on 282. Now I should describe the error. Rigify, script, come on, script failing to make proper weights for rigging. Y-axis problem. So that's probably the title, or what you, let's just place the title there. So you describe the error, and here you describe the exact steps you took to replicate on your own that mistake. That's why it's very healthy that you create a new general scene and you recreate your entire steps here in a new scene. Okay. And like I mentioned before, it can happen that the data probably corrupted at some point while I was importing or exporting this character, and that's why I'm getting all of that trouble. But I'm mostly positive sure that if I export only the model and then I freeze all the transformations, export them as OBJ probably, and then re-import it as OBJ, flat OBJ, I will get my centers and everything corrected in time. But in the meantime, this has been all. I have been very happy to attend your questions, and please don't forget to write them in the comment section below. Thank you so much, and I apologize for this long stream. This was supposed to be a short 20 to 40 minute stream, but thank you very much for your